In this video, we're going to talk about how to create this kind of loop animation with flowing text, a moving flower, and blinking stars. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is to create a new Adobe After Effects file. Let's click New Project, then New Composition, and I'm going to rename it Project 1. For the width, I'm going to keep it at 1080, and for the height, I'll set it to 1920. The frame rate will be 24, which means there are 24 frames per second. That's a really ideal number for motion graphics. And for this really simple animation, the duration would be 3 seconds. And also make sure to change the 3D renderer to Cinema 4D so you have more flexibility to control lighting and rendering. Then let's click OK to create the new composition. To get started, we are going to create a solid light blue background. Let's right-click on the timeline, go to New, Solid, and choose your color. In this case, I'm going to keep it light blue. And after creating the background, I'm going to lock the layer so that whatever I do on the canvas won't affect it. Next, I am going to create a new shape layer for the stars. I will start by drawing a rectangle with a white fill and no stroke. I'm going to draw this rectangle in the center, then rotate it 45 degrees to make it look like a diamond. You can press and hold Shift while rotating, or you can also adjust the value manually. Next, I'm going to turn it into a star by adding pucker and bloat, and I'll make the amount more negative. In this animation, we want the stars to look like they're blinking by changing their scale and opacity. So first, let's go to Transform, Scale, and create the first keyframe at 100%. Then move the timeline a little to the right and make it smaller, around 50%. Then create another keyframe back at 100%. When we play it, you will see that the size has been changed. And similarly, we want to create 3 keyframes for the opacity. The first keyframe, 100%, the second keyframe, 30%, and the third keyframe, 100%. And now the star is blinking by changing both its size and the opacity. To make this animation smoother, let's select all the keyframes, right-click, and go to Keyframe Assistant and choose Easy Ease. In this animation, I want the stars to blink twice, so I'm going to copy and paste all of these keyframes and repeat the animation. After that, I'm going to rename this layer Star, then lock it and make it invisible for now. We'll bring it back later. Now we're going to work on the flowing text. Let's right-click on the timeline area and create a new text layer. We're going to type the word flowers about 12 times until the text feels like it can flow around the shape. Then draw around the rectangle. Next, open the text path options and switch the path to mask 1, which is the rounded rectangle we just created. And then let's click reverse path to flip the direction of the text. After that, you can adjust the font size to close the gap so the text flows more smoothly around the shape. Right now, we've created a static text path, but if we want to make it move, we need to animate the first margin. Let's create the first keyframe with the value set to 0, and then go to the last keyframe and make the number much larger. At first, I feel like the animation is moving too fast, so I'm gonna slow it down by using a smaller value for the second keyframe. And that way, the text animation becomes slower and more readable. Now we can adjust the position of this component a little bit and then lock it. Next, we are going to work on the flowers. Let's right-click on the timeline panel, go to New, and create a new shape layer. This time, we're going to create the stem first. Let's set the fill to none and add a green stroke, so only the outline shows. Then let's use the pen tool to sketch out the shape of the stem, and you can adjust it a little so it looks more like the original animation. I am also going to make the stroke caps rounded so it looks a little cuter and nicer. Now we're going to animate the path. Let's go to Contents, Shape, Path, and add a keyframe for the path at the start, and then copy that same keyframe to the end because we are creating a loop animation. For the middle keyframe, I'm gonna adjust the shape and posture of the stem so it looks drastically different, almost like it's swaying or growing. I may even reverse the direction a little. Now when we preview it, you should see a really smooth and fun stem animation. Then I'm going to rename this layer stem and lock it. Now let's create the petals of the flower. Let's right-click on the timeline and create another shape layer. I am going to start by creating a polygon. Then I'm gonna change the fill color to yellow and turn the stroke off. Next, I am going to add pucker and bloat again. And this time, I will increase the value to around 80. And you will see it starts to look like a little flower. In this animation, the flower is going to expand and then return to its original shape. It will also change color and size. So we are going to add keyframes for pucker and bloat at the start and end. And then in the middle, we'll make the amount larger. We're also going to animate the fill color. I am going to make it shift between yellow, orange, and coral. Then let's go to scale and do the same thing, same keyframe at the start and end, and bigger scale in the middle. As you can see, the flowers should now feel like it's blooming and shrinking. Because the flower needs to follow the movement of the stem, we need to attach it to the path. Let's go to Window, scroll down, and open Create Nulls from Path. Let's select the stem path, then choose Trace Path. If it says no path is selected, just make sure you click the path again and try once more. This will create a new null object, and now we're going to parent the petals to this new trace path null. And at first, you'll notice that the flower moves along the stem instead of staying attached to the top. To fix that, let's set the progress to 0 for the entire animation and delete all the extra keyframes. And now the flower should stick to the top of the stem. Next, we are going to create a leaf. Let's go to the new shape layer again. This time, I'm going to use the same green fill color as the stem and draw a leaf shape. Then I'm going to copy the trace path setup and attach the leaf layer to the new path as well. And before that, we'll probably need to adjust the anchor point of the leaf because right now the rotation looks a little bit off. We also need to adjust the progress of the bar, and I'm going to set it to 50 because the leaf should sit around the middle of the stem. Then I'll adjust the position a little bit more since attaching it to the path may shift it slightly. I will also rotate it a bit to make it feel more natural and flower-like. And now it looks great. At this point, we've created a really cute 3D looking flower effect. Now we're going to select all the layers related to the flower, right-click and choose Pre-Compose so they become a single grouped composition. Then I'm going to search for CC Glass Effects in Effects and Presets and apply it to the flower. You can feel free to adjust the softness, height, and any other values you want to customize. And boom! Now we have a really cute, moving, growing flower. Now it's time to bring the stars back. We are also going to add a CC Glass effect to the stars. Then I'm going to pre-compose the star layer as well and rename it Star. I am going to lock the flower layer while I move the stars around, and I'll make the stars a little smaller. Originally, I had 2 separate stars, so I'm going to duplicate the star layer and change the start and end position for each one. Now we have everything in place. And the final step is to export the file. Let's go to File, Export, and add to Adobe Media Encoder queue. It might take a little while for the files to appear in your queue. Once you see it, make sure the format is set to H.264 and the preset is set to match source high bitrate. You can also change the save location and rename the file. And then let's click the green play button to export. You'll see a preview window showing the export progress. And there it is, our file in MP4 format. When you play it back, you will have this really nice loop animation with flowing text, a moving flower, and blinking stars.